egg on that?
Yeah, Dave is about to tell us. Hi, welcome to Rock Pops. We have a special guest today. His name is Dave Rodberg, and we have another special guest whose name is Jen Pecora.
Hello.
No relation. But we're talking about yinzas. What's a yinza?
Please. Yinzer.
Yinzer.
Isn't that someone who's from Pittsburgh? And then when you order breakfast, they say, "Yinz one egg on that."
Was that?
Did
you just do like a whole big build up for that joke?
That's not a joke. Can we start this over?
How are we today?
I wish that I watched your finger hit that shiny red record button.
Now, come on, we got to keep this real.
Yeah,
100.
These are the cold opens. Yeah, we have reached into episode number 5. Like we're around the time of like 85% of podcasts have not reached this point. So this is a big milestone for us.
Like and subscribe.
We have nothing to subscribe to,
right?
But however, I think we are picking up steam. Like
you could subscribe on
Spotify,
right?
Kind of, right?
Well,
like,
I mean,
Spotify?
you could subscribe to enjoying this podcast.
You can make a promise in your heart,
a personal subscription to enjoying the sweet arguments.
But
we haven't had any arguments yet. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be the name of that episode when we do have an argument.
Oh, that's going to be today.
We finally had.
That's because of you.
That's because I'm here.
But things are picking up. We have artwork for the podcast now, thanks to one of your bandmates, Chris Sorrentino.
Yes,
thank you very much for that. We're getting email submissions on rockpopspod@gmail.com.
Right, I haven't answered any of them. I apologize.
But it's mostly from our friends Chris Vert and Matt Accardi. They've sent several. We had a music submission from from Royal Decay. And I got to say, it got me into Vaporwave. I really want to do a deep dive on that one day. More music, too. So if you do have music submissions, we want to hear your story. We just had an episode a little while ago about one of Joe and I's past bands, and we want to hear about your bands as well. So any submissions like that, send them to us at rockpopspod@gmail.com. Like Dave said, like and subscribe wherever you can
hit the
find
notification bell.
If you see a picture, it's not going to be on Instagram, but if anybody wants to start an Instagram for us, great. But what are we doing here today? This is our first list episode.
Yeah, and this is what titled Growers and Show-ers.
Yes, Joe wanted to do this at our first episode when we were talking about albums we liked or kind of didn't like. But what's a grower and a shower? What is it to you, Joe?
So I thought of it this way: a grower usually ends up being one of my favorite albums. Growers are albums that you listen to and you're like, oh man, I don't know if I'm into this, but something about this is cool and I kind of want to take another listen and know what I think. And then you just keep listening and can't stop listening. Show-ers, I had my original thought for Show-ers is a band, or maybe it's a song, or maybe it's an album, where you hear it and immediately go, fuck, that's awesome. And then maybe a year and a half later, you're like, I don't know why I ever listened to that trash.
Oh, wow.
That was the Show-ers are the ones that are, it's real flashy and then, it doesn't have any substance. But at the same time, I kind of feel like Show-ers could be really cool if they're just, it could be also be like a song or a band that you heard, and the first time you heard it, you fell in love. And then every time you hear the song or the album, it still sits in that same spot for you.
Well, when I was making my list of Show-ers, I realized something about all of my Show-er albums that I had. I put together more than 2, so I'm just going to pick them on the fly out of my list that I've got here. But I realized that they're all major turning points for me. The first time I ever heard any of the songs on this album and then was immediately thrust into how do I listen to the rest of this album, it changed my musical language from that point forward. So in my list, my Show-ers are going to be big turning points for me where I definitely wasn't a fan before, or I definitely didn't think that I was going to have that musical experience with that album. And then moving forward, it's one of my favorites, just something I can't live without.
Cool. Okay, that's great.
Is it though?
No, Dave, you know why it's great?
Why?
Because I love the way you get into albums and just get into anything. When for those of you who listen who don't know Dave Rodberg, Dave, when he gets into something, Dave is into it. Like, Dave gets real deep and very enthusiastic about it. I will say, one of the best experiences at a live concert I ever went to
Was this Tame Impala?
was Tame Impala. It was right after Lonerism came out, and they were playing at a small place in Philly, and me and Dave drove.
Was
down.
that Union Transfer?
Union Transfer.
Yeah.
And
What an awesome venue.
it was
by the
great.
way.
Yeah, it was
So-
kind of like
Is this when he kept yelling out?
So
the whole
yeah,
time?
and it wasn't even like
This
it,
is-
it,
it's
it
a
wasn't
great
even.
story.
This was with the first band too. It was with the opening act too, which I thought this is like another thing that endears you to me is that here's a band, the rest of the people don't know it, and me and you are like, I'm a definitely an opening act guy. I want to see the opening acts. I want to hear music I've never heard before. I love it.
I agree. I've heard some of my favorite bands were bands that I discovered by experiencing them for the first time without ever knowing them, and they were opening acts. You know, I don't know. Maybe I like to just get on board early or something,
That's
so
great.
I can use it over other people. Like, yeah, I like them first. Anyway,
No matter there was a song like after like the fourth or fifth song of the opening act, me and Dave are like, we're looking at each other. I'm like, oh, this band's really cool. Don't ask me who it is. I don't even remember.
I have no idea.
But we were like, this is really good. And I'm like, yeah, woo. And I'm like, woo. And next, I'm like, Dave is like next to me, but it's dark and whatever, and kind of like a little behind me. And I just hear, yeah, woo, yeah. And I'm like looking around and be like, who the fuck is that guy? And it's Dave. And it's Dave screaming like that. And then all through the rest of the show, for Tame Impala, he was like, yeah, like the loud. I think at some point Kevin Parker stopped the show to make sure everybody was okay. But that's great.
Sir, this is a Wendy's. You need to calm down.
Sir, this is Philadelphia. You need to get in line.
No, but
Where's
yes,
your cheesesteak?
Dave definitely brings you along for the ride.
Yes,
you know, so.
absolutely.
But, I don't know, Jen, do you have any difference between a grower and a shower, or like?
I did not do the homework, you guys. I'm going to tell you, I did not do the homework.
Classic Jenny.
Classic Jenny. I don't have a list or a definition. I didn't know either of those were required.
No, the definition was not required.
Okay.
No.
Good thing is you're sleeping with the professor, so it's all right.
Yeah, so A's across the board, I hope. You explained it to me, so I'm going off of what you said. And also, the one album that I thought of is one that, like, when I listened to it, I loved it. No. Sorry. When I listened to it, I was just like, eh. And then when I think back on it, I'm like, oh, that one's really not good. And then when I listen to it again, it's like, oh, wait. This album's actually really good. I really like all of these tracks
So
on
it's like
it.
a roller coaster for you.
It's a roller coaster.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's a roller coaster.
Come on,
Clockwise.
Jenny, let's go. What's this album?
It's
What is
not-
this roller coaster?
It's not that exciting.
How about let's you don't have to give the whole list. Why don't you start with one?
Yeah.
No, I just have an album.
Great.
That's my whole list. That's all the work that I did is that explanation in this album. It's The Spine by They Might Be Giants. Talking about music, it's always them. It's always going to be They Might Be Giants on my list. You know this album, Bill?
This album is the only They Might Be Giants album. Jenny, I met Jenny through a mutual friend, Mark Maffei, who is a tremendous They Might Be Giants fan. And he let me borrow
He's 700 pounds.
the
It is tremendous.
hopes and prayers to him. But he gave me a double album, which was, I believe, their first two albums were like a greatest hits.
Oh, yeah. Then, the early years.
Yes.
Love that one.
And it was Birdhouse in Your Soul on it, Anna Ang, Nightgown in the Soul and Moon.
All the hits.
Such great songs. And then I remember I was dating my college girlfriend. We were in the Hamptons, and I just went to this used CD store. And this was back in like 2003, 2004. And that's when The Spine came out.
Yeah, 4.
And I was like, oh, here's a new They Might Be Giants. I just wasn't a tremendous fan. Got that album. Museum of Idiots is an amazing song on it.
One of my
Au Contraire
favorites.
is a great song on that.
Yeah.
The Spine itself, excellent. But I don't know it too much. But yeah, that caught me.
That one, I don't even remember ever listening to it as an album when it came out. And then a couple of years ago, me and Mark Maffei and my brother Jay did like an email thread between the three of us where we listened to each They Might Be Giants album, like in chronological order, and talked about like our best and worst songs from each album. And The Spine was what we got up to. And the two of them kind of like dropped out when we started talking about that. Like when it got to that one, everyone was just kind of like, well, this is the point that we all kind of stopped listening. I think that's probably the one after Mink Car.
Yeah.
I think that was 2001. It was 2001. And I went back and listened to it and was like, oh, yeah, I like this song, Experimental Film.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I love Thunderbird. Oh, I love Museum of Idiots. And every song was like, oh, I really like this song. Oh, this is a really good song. So the whole album all the way through, listening back way later, and I really loved it. And so now I think like, oh, it's a weird album. It's like a weird time that doesn't exist as an album for me. But when I go back to the whole track listing, I love it.
Does it bring like a what is it that's alluring for you? Is it because it's different than earlier They Might Be Giant albums. So what's the thing that draws you in and love the album?
It's really the individual songs on this one. It's not really the album, because like I said, it still doesn't even exist like as a whole album for me. It's like, oh, it's that weird one that has all those songs that I like. It's really more the individual songs on the whole list for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
I would say that album too is very much like this, and it was the last full solid good season. Because then after that, they put a shitload out right afterwards, and still to this day. But you only get like one gem here and there.
Yeah, that's funny. That's the same thing I thought of when I said that's when all of us kind of dropped off.
Yeah, that was
the
your
same kind of thing.
Season 10,
That's when everyone kind of drops off, and then it changes from there.
Yeah.
The fan base changes from there. Everything with it changes.
Because they were one of those unique bands where it's like everybody catches it in high school. Like the same with Weezer. It's like my high school Weezer is different from someone now like a Gen Zer's Weezer. And no, that's the same with TMBJ.
Yeah.
See, I did the initials, and we
so
don't have
cool.
that much time, so we have to
right. Yeah, come on, move it along.
TMBG is short for They Might Be Giants.
Well, I'm gonna have to listen to that. I only know that one song that they did for Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh, that's a heartbreaking choice.
I'm a big New York Giants.
So
that's a football.
Just
team,
to bring the pops part of this, the parent part of this too. They also did the music for Mickey Mouse's Clubhouse, so I hear it every goddamn day.
Hot diggity dog.
The hot dog song.
Yeah,
hot diggity dog.
It's dope. What about you?
Is it?
What about me?
Give me a grower.
Get the guest first.
Okay, hold on. Let me pull out the list.
Oh shit!
I've got a list, and I got to pick one off of it. All of the ones that I was able to come up with were ones that I really didn't like. I didn't like the band. I didn't like the music, and somehow they crept into my brain, and now they're things like. The first would probably have to be High Violet by The National.
Okay.
One of my wife's favorite bands, so if I didn't know how it snuck into my psyche, now I know how it snuck in. It was always playing. But I really didn't like The National. There was something that irked me about the way that Matt Berenger would sing, the low, and also his low voice, but then always repeating the line like multiples. When you got to the chorus of a song, it would just be the same phrase repeated 4 times. What are you getting at? And it turns out what he was getting at was like one of the best albums that I think you can listen to in modern, indie rock. And so different from their live experience, which I've been used to be dragged to, but now I can't wait to, because their live experience is like a heavy rock show. With a huge band, with all the accompaniment and all the horns and everything it's very much that wall of sound. But the albums are so atmospheric and temporal. And I just love that album. Lemon World is definitely a favorite for me. And Conversation 16, they've grown.
I haven't found my way to the National yet. I know, me and Sarah have talked about it a lot, and I appreciate it. To me, it's still, I can't break the shell of my thought. Is they feel samey a lot to me. Like the songs feel like similar,
Yeah, sure.
But you know what? That doesn't matter to me because there's a million bands that I like that all the songs sound the same to a person who hasn't taken the deep dive, you know?
Right.
But that's cool. I really gotta kind of. I think I want to see them live.
One thing about things that I don't like that I usually do is dig deep into it.
Yeah.
Because if I don't like it, I really need to know. And
That's
then
cool.
when I dig deep into it, like I didn't know anything about these guys who I thought were like, who are these guys trying to sound like David Bowie with a drummer who should be in a metal band, right?
Right.
And then you find out that there's 2 lead guitarists in this band, and they're brothers, and they take turns being the lead on
brother sharing, I
a
love
song-to-song basis. And then you find out that the entire rhythm section, which is rock solid, is also brothers. The bassist and the drummer. And then the singer is who is always riding above the music anyway.
Is he their father?
Thank you.
Even better, he's just another dude from their hometown. This album, being my grower, isn't even my favorite of their albums, but it definitely was the gateway for me into them. Like, once I realized that I absolutely was loving this band, then I was on board for albums that were being released, which is usually a case for me. Once I get involved in a band and I'm on board with the fandom during an album release, it's usually that album that matters the most.
Right.
Oh, I get that a lot. Oh, yeah.
Wait, so,
There's going to be another They Might Be Giants
go ahead.
story.
Yeah.
It's going to be another boring They Might Be Giants story.
well, mine will always be like boring flaming lip stories. So, what's yours?
I think the date of we're recording this is John Linnell's birthday.
Is it?
Is it really?
Reddit told me that
I
today.
think he's
Wow.
listening too.
Bigger fan.
Happy birthday,
Fantastic.
John.
Happy
Very
birthday,
big fan.
Johnny Johns.
Happy birthday to my favorite guy, John Linnell. No, I mean, similar story. I always got music from my brother Jay. He had given me Flood. He worked for the radio station at CSI, and so he always.
Crime
College
Scene
of Staten
Investigation.
Both of you are correct. That is where he worked. And so he had all of his tapes there. And like I would listen to all of his music. And so I listened to Flood and I listened to everything. It was like 1994 or 5. And for Christmas, he bought me like all of the They Might Be Giants cassette tapes for me to have my own. And so that most recent one was John Henry. So that was the one that was like, I was like following them. That was the new one that came out, and it was super exciting that it came out. I got to listen to it like when it was brand new. So it's a fun thing to jump in the middle of things, and you feel like, oh, you're behind, and you have to like catch up and listen to everything, and then you're like with everyone at the same point. Now we're all here together, and we get to be all excited and share this thing together. Now I'm part of it, and we get to do it together. It's fun.
It's like everybody who jumped on board, like, they're like, what's this Breaking Bad thing about? And then they watched the first 2 seasons on, Netflix or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there was many more seasons to go. And it was like, I'm in.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people, I felt like, missed the Breaking Bad, like, original airing. Mm-hmm. Like, it had no ratings. And then all of a sudden it was like the best show that.
Yeah.
Like when Arrested Development came out, I got into that show because David Cross was on it, and I was a big Mr. Show fan. And I'm like, hey, everybody should watch this show. And like, no, we're watching Viva La Bam. And I was like, you gotta watch this show. And I'm not saying I was watching it before it was cool, but then it's like I wasn't able to share that at that moment.
So basically, Bam Margera is the reason there's only 3
Goddamn
seasons.
Yeah, well, he's paying for it.
Arrested
So.
Development.
3 good seasons at least.
Perfect seasons.
But one thing I actually noticed when you said that you got to listen to Flood or John Henry when it first came out, that whole thing of I got to listen to it when I first came out, this is where music is unique from other different types of pop culture. Like right now, like the day we're recording this, Multiverse of Madness came out, and I'm trying to stay away from spoilers. Like imagine a spoiler with an album. You can't really have that. It's like it's not like you got to rush to go get the album because it's like, oh no, it ended on a G minor chord. Oh, shit!
No,
Why'd you tell
why didn't
me?
you tell me.
Right.
But yeah,
So what do you got, Bill?
what do I got? Okay, so is this how we're doing? Because you did a shower first and a grower. So am I doing a shower first? Like
it could be whatever you want.
All right.
Wait, wasn't yours a grower?
I don't know what mine was.
Oh.
I think
thought
hers
yours
was.
was a
Mine was a
grower.
roller coaster.
It was a roller coaster.
Yeah,
That was
I
the
think that's
definition of
emotion.
mine.
Your roller coaster, I think, fits for a grower.
Okay, so we're doing growers
Yes,
first.
I guess
then.
mine is more of a.
Yeah, let's
mine
do
is
some
definitely
growers.
Grower.
Let's keep
not
on
shower.
growing.
So I'm gonna like keep around the same year then. Like when the Spine came out was 2003, 2004. This was a very, very pivotal year for me. I just graduated high school, went into college, and my friends from high school and I kind of very amicably went in separate directions. Played different types of music. I went off and played in like new metal type of bands, like a very like
Sick.
like Godsmack or like type of
You were
stuff.
in Godsmack?
Yes, I was in Godsmack.
Wow, that's
He was
wild.
the smack part.
Right out of
Or
high
like
school.
Disturbed. I wasn't really enjoying it, but it was just something different. But my friends were really into the album Unicorns Who Will Cut Our Hair When We're Gone. And I met it with such resistance. I thought that it was sloppy. It was dissonant. I didn't like it at all. Now I'm revisiting it right before this podcast. I'm like, holy shit, especially from when we were recording Monstro and around that time of that post-ironic type of music. It's one of the biggest influences on any creative output I've had around that time. For any of you who don't know what it is, Unicorns now is the band Islands.
And what's the other band that did two different directions? The drummer and the bass player, I think.
Oh, I'm not
Or
really too
Islands.
sure.
Oh.
But Islands is a good band too, but Who Will Cut Our Hair When We're Gone is an extremely unique album. They mention it in How I Met Your Mother as...
Oh, do they?
Yeah. Ted Mosby is in his future wife's apartment before they even meet, and he picks up the CD. He's like, I didn't even know anybody else had this album. I'm there watching the show saying, wow, I can't believe they even mentioned it. Because it is like one of those niche albums that in the undercurrent a lot of people do know about. But yeah, it's so influential, but it just took me a long time to actually pick it up. But I remember us being in the studio and I'm trying to make a tone and I was like, oh, this sounds like a Yamaha DX7 but like with a portamento. And I said, hey Joe, doesn't this sound like the keyboard from Tough Ghost or something? Another song from the album. But I feel like the Seconds picked up a lot of influence from it. Gigaherbs especially has a huge influence on it. And it's such a wonderful album because you could really see the two acts in it, where you have a song like Child Star, which is like kind of a pickup where it kind of sounds like a very, at the time, like a Captain Jazz type of song, where it's like kind of like a little like punk screamo type. And then 2 songs later is the second act, and it's I Was Born a Unicorn, and it's like all this like bright, happy, like arpeggios and whatnot. And it has a lot of moods. It has a lot of unique sounds, but it also sounds very DIY.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It took me a long time, and still I'm not like, oh, this is my favorite album of all time, but it's extremely, extremely influential.
That's funny. I think I would consider that one like a shower
Yeah.
for me. Yeah, like first time I heard it, I'm like, oh my god, this is and I still listen to it. Like I put it on with the kids. Like sometimes like we're just dancing around.
Yeah,
to
that's a fun one to listen to with the kids.
So
Yeah,
right
man.
into it, you just
Yeah,
were enamored with it.
Yeah, but I think you know what? Actually, I heard it after a band called the Melogrove Band. And the Melogrove Band is a very similar like singing style. It's a little and songwriting style too, but Melgrove Band is a little bit more epic.
Yeah.
You know, even though it's a 3-piece as well, they were like a little bit more epic in their songwriting style. And also Hot Hot Heat was around that time too.
Very hot heat.
Yeah, and like bands really kind of had that kind of like DIY but like quirky, upbeat kind of thing. And I'm a sucker for that. Always have been. That's great. Oh, that's a good one.
Thank you. And now it's your turn.
So
do you
for
got?
me, my grower, I think the thing that made me realize about growers,
No, that's me.
the thing that made me even like understand the idea of a grower was Tripping Daisies. Jesus Hits Like an Atom Bomb. So
I've heard you talk about this so much.
I've heard you talk about it a
too many
couple of
times.
times.
Actually, a side note before you get into it, Joe and I have been trying to start a podcast for about 2 years, and we were going to just do a full album analysis, and this was the first album that he pitched. And this was a shower for me because of you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
But, no, go on.
It's like, I think it's, I laugh because my wife is sitting across from me, and she knows me. And it's like, to me, it's a perfect Joe Pecora album. It's like, it changes ideas very, like, all throughout the whole album. It's a long album, but it's not long in like, minutes length. But it goes through, there are, like, hooks after hook after hook after hook after hook. That could, if they were just honed, if each one of them was taken and put into their own song, would be great pop songs.
Yeah.
But in the true psychedelic fashion of the band, there's like there would be like 7 hooks in one song.
Yeah.
And they could be for different songs. So the first time I heard the album, I had read
Everything about that explanation is really like just being inside your brain.
Yeah.
That's what the album is. It's just, if you wanted a glimpse of what it's like to be Joe, to be inside of his brain, this album is it. Everything he just
It's just
explains.
a swirl of hooks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
It's like being in a tackle bait box. It's all hooks.
But it's no filler. So that's the good thing.
and it all smells like chum. So
Well, there's soaps for that, so I've been trying to tell you.
Billy Gaggs's brain soap. I read it. It came out the same year or the year after OK Computer, and I was buying Rolling Stone magazine a lot at the time, back when you actually bought print, and it was in one of the one issue that was talking about Radiohead or whatever, and I would always read through the reviews at the end, like the album reviews, and that was put in there. And I didn't recognize I knew the name of the band because they had that song I Got a Girl from their first album, and I thought that song was really great. Yeah. And at the time I confused them with the Flaming Lips because it was around the same time as like Transmissions came out.
Yes.
And in between Transmissions and Clouds Taste Metallic. So I read it, and the reviewer said, "Oh, this is a band that, like, here's this. We thought they were just going to be another grunge, like quirky grunge band, and they made this really cool album, and nobody will probably ever hear it." It was something to what the review was. So a year later, I kept remembering that name of that band, and I went to the CD store, the record store that was in the Highland Plaza.
Oh,
yeah. And in the bargain bin was Jesus Hits Like an Atom Bomb for $1.99.
Nice.
I got it, and I was just in that phase of, I'm going to listen to cool music. Somebody told me it's cool.
Yeah.
So I put it in, and I listened to it, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this is. I don't know if I like this. But I, in my brain, thought, I want to be cool, and I spent money on this.
You are cool.
So
a whole $2.
But whatever. You know, this is 97. $2 could buy you a house.
Well, that's like me with like apps on my phone. I'm not paying 99 cents for that. Jeez, come on.
No
well, if
way.
I do, I'm going to use it.
Absolutely not.
So I just kept playing it, and like the more I started listening to it, I just legitimately started loving it. And an album that is that kind of up and down with hooks and ideas and things like that, and has an emotional pull to it. There's a lot to dive in to, and I can put that album on now, and I can listen front to back and just love the entire thing. And the thing that makes me love it even more is the band, like Tim DeLofter, doesn't like the album, or it's like an album where they like kind of like gloss over it. Granted, at the very after the album was made, and on the tour for that, the guitar player died. Oh, wow. He overdosed, and they made another album. They were making another album at the time, and they had a kind of like finish it with his father, with the guitar player's father. Oh wow! So there's one of those things. It's one of those things where the band isn't even sure if they like it or not. They don't talk. Like I was just listening to an interview with him, and he really like glossed over that and really talked about the first album and the very last album, and I was like, oh, this is the one I want to hear about. This is what I want to know about. I don't know. That one's like just really great.
Now you said it caught you from a Rolling Stone ad or Rolling Stone magazine.
Yeah.
Now was this on the page next to the Polo Blue sample that used to? that album struck me mainly because I know you, and I know how opulent you could get, or like how highly produced you could get, which is one of the biggest draws I have, because I feel the same way about the things that I'm into. But the biggest thing with this album is it's 4 or 5 guys in the band, and it sounds really, really big. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, you know what this album needs? More people, like 30 more people. And what did the band become?
Right.
They became the Polyphonic Spree. So,
and it's cool. They actually, Polyphonic Spree plays on one of the songs.
Yeah. But no, excellent album. I mean, and thank you for getting me into it.
Yeah, man, I dig it. So how about
a
shower?
A shower, yeah.
A shower. Let's have a shower.
I've been we've been texting back and forth, and I was like, I keep on putting shower in here.
Is there a different way to do this?
I've been using the Boss Polo Blue, whatever it is, magazine ads from '97.
Come on, Jenny.
I don't think I have anything.
Well, what about like a Beyonce? Is that a shower for you?
Lemonade is an absolute shower.
Like something that
I love her
you
always.
put it on.
Right, I know.
It came out, and you were just like, "This is my shit. This is great.
This is all I'm about now. And you can't change me."
Right? Like, you know what? I'll do one of mine.
You do
right
yours.
now.
This is what I was hoping for. Was more to hear of your guys' and then maybe have it strike a chord.
When
for
you
me.
guys talked about,
Or what's your album of the summer?
ooh.
Well, I mean, that's what it is.
I mean, I could talk for a whole podcast about what my album of the summer is, and I really don't want guys.
The Chili Peppers.
Yeah. I mean, I could go song by song talking about this album.
Please
and
don't.
I'm not going to do that.
This
I
day.
will spare you.
Today.
Okay, I'm going to tell you my Show-er album is a band that at the time when also a band that I didn't really like very much. I was in high school. Well, I guess maybe I was in college. Anyway, I was kind of a punk guy. I liked punk. I liked funk. And
Skunks.
I love skunks. Just the way that they have that stripe down their tail.
Boats.
It's the best. And I really was not into anything that I would consider like indie or alternative at all. And I was at a party, and I heard Jigsaw Falling Into Place from In Rainbows. And I was like, what is that? I was like, it's so complicated and clean sounding. I was like, because everything that I listened to at that point was all distortion, all fuzz. It was all overdrive, punk, you know. Or if I was listening to funk, there was some clean, but it was all about these rhythms, you know. And I was like, I have no idea what this is.
We're gonna play it.
Yeah, because like we can't.
I thought you were going to put on
we're gonna get
crying
copyright
music.
claims.
And I think the next day I went out and bought it on CD, and just right from the first song, it just changed the way that my musical vocabulary understands music from that point on. To me, Radiohead was just that band that had that annoying creep song. And I had tons of people in my ear saying like, "Listen, you gotta try OK Computer. Karma Police is amazing." And I'm like, yeah. But In Rainbows just changed everything. It is my shower of my life.
Awesome.
I feel like In Rainbows was such a grower for me. And the reason why was I followed Radiohead. I was probably one of the guys that was like, you got to listen to Radiohead, trying to push it on a lot of people. Pablo Honey I wasn't a big fan of. I don't think really many people are compared to the rest of their work. But from the Bends and OK Computer, that was my Radiohead. Even I tolerated Amnesiac. And Amnesiac is a little bit more. They now have Kid Amnesiac, so like it's kind of a combo of the two albums. In Rainbows hit a little different, and I very much was like, well, this isn't my Radiohead. It's good, it's fine, but it's not my Radiohead. It's one of the few albums I have on vinyl now, though, is In Rainbows, because it's an excellent. Every song hit, but it just was a little bit, not even a total, but it was a little bit of a departure from what they were doing. But yeah, it is an absolute excellent album.
Oh man,
I feel I feel almost as if I can hear their influence in everything that came after it as well from that album. And it's not even like in a mimicking or a production sound of that album. It's more in the approach and then, I mean, not musically, the pay what you want for the album.
Yeah. This was the spearhead of like the self-publishing for...
It was a turning point for everything having to do with music. And I guess I'm just grateful that it hit me at that same time too, because I don't think that it'd be fun to just keep listening to the Misfit.
Sure,
I mean, I love the Misfit. Yeah, they're definitely my shower, and it's such a perfect album. It's got such a great arc.
I have there's so much wrapped up. I was a huge Radiohead fan, still am, like from the beginning, and I went even deeper into them during like the Kid A Amnesiac stuff. And at first I like Hail to the Thief, but I don't think it's on par with their other stuff. But it's still a great album that I listened to like
that's
a
funny
times.
Enough. That's my favorite Radiohead album, and I didn't like Radiohead until after I had listened to In Rainbows.
Right.
And then discovered Hail to the Thief. I think Hail to the Thief, it just... I don't know if this makes sense, but it matched my identity more. Like, it was a lot angrier.
Yeah.
And I definitely was a lot angrier when I listened to it. And, boy, Where I End and You Begin and They're There are just... They're just the best.
It's still a great album.
2 + 2 = 5 is one of the greatest album openers.
Oh, sure,
definitely.
Definitely.
But the In Rainbows thing is, so I went to Bonnaroo.
Not Bonnaroo.
Not Bonnaroo. The Roo. I guess that would be probably 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And they were one of the headlines. And so all of the songs that end up on In Rainbows, they played before the album came out, and they sound different.
Yeah,
they're like different versions of this. But I was like, these songs are amazing. This album is going to be crazy. And we were there. It was like a bunch of friends, and with one of our friends who ended up later on after that, at the end of that summer, she ended up passing away, and bunch of us moved into a house together. And when the album came out, we listened to the album like all sitting around. Like that's kind of what we did at the time.
Listening party.
We would always just sit together and listen out. And we listened to that album, and it was like, it was just awesome to listen to, and I was like so excited to hear it. But it was also had like this it has this tie-in from like this awesome night or awesome time we had in Bonnaroo, and and then someone passing away and the loss there. And then me and Jen started dating around that time. And so there's all of this stuff that's like, there's just so much emotion from that album that's like tied up for me that it's like perfect. It's so good.
Oh, cool.
So I guess maybe
I've never listened to.
I know. I
Really?
tried to make her listen.
Yeah, really.
You've only heard a couple of songs.
I'm not a big Radiohead person.
That's okay.
I like
You love them or you
Pablo
don't.
Honey. Yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah.
From them.
Well, divorce time.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think
All my best friends.
That's how you guys
always
related.
did.
I'm sure that there's things that you do love that are like so influenced by them that they're
Yeah,
almost
sure.
from the tree of them.
Yeah, of course.
So at one point, you might just find yourself walking the tree, and you're like, "Oh, this is the root. I love this because I love something that I can feel that this is the the predecessor to that. Like, I find myself definitely walking down those roads sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about Radiohead. It's just not something that I have ever really, like, enjoyed listening to, for the most part.
Come on.
You
I
hear
know,
heard it here first,
I
folks.
know.
Come on, be
I
cool.
know, it's
Come
terrible.
on.
Sorry, guys.
Come on.
I have like
Sorry.
a wrench to throw in the grower. Well, whatever. And the way we're. Well,
Throw
do
your
you have a
wrenches.
do you have a shower?
I think it was a while ago that Casey recommended Hop Along to me, this band Hop Along. And her voice is just, it's just one of my favorite sounds in the world. And so just pretty much any songs by them, but like How Simple and Tibetan Pop Stars. When she like really kind of like reaches and almost kind of like yells, but her voice is like really scratchy, but not like your typical like female singer voice. I don't know. There's something about it that I love. I told Joe like a few weeks ago, like when I like hearing her voice, like I just want to cry and listen to her voice because I just love it. It's
great.
Her voice is just perfect, I think.
And she sounds like that live too. It's great.
Yeah, I'd love to see them. It makes me want to sing more. It makes me want to do more. So whenever I listen to them, I just think the songs are so good. Musically, it's so good. And her voice just gets me. I love her.
Right on.
I got to listen to it. I never heard it.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
stuff.
They're great.
I think you would like it.
Cool. The Show-ers, I wasn't really too sure. Well, my Show-ers are not bands that I knew beforehand. They're kind of like my introduction. Like, obvious Show-er albums for me were like the Black Keys' El Camino. But like Dave said, they had several albums beforehand. I knew of those albums. So it was like, oh, this is just a really great album. But that stood like that wasn't like something that I just ate up. Or when I first moved into my house, we put it on the record player. I had a bunch of records, and Grand Funk's Closer to Home was one of the first records we put on there. And it was a Sin's a Good Man's Mother or Brother is one of the first songs on that. And it just has this really crazy opening guitar riff. And I was just like, yes, this is the album. And just moving the shit in, listening to this like on repeat over and over and over again. But no, that's not where I was going to go with Show-ers. Show-ers were, I'd never heard of the band before. So right at the first track, I want to consume this. And I want to know everything that this band is about. I don't know if we were in the late aughts or early 2010, 11, but I'm hanging out with Vin from Redbox. This was before Spotify was even really big, or just any BitTorrents or any type of way to get a lot of music. Or at least I wasn't doing it. But I did have a hard drive. So I was just going around to friends' houses like, oh, let me just take whatever from your library. Let me take this, whatever. It wasn't even like Vin was showing me this band. He just had this album called Baby Darling Dollface Honey by Band of Skulls. Now, Band of Skulls is around the time of when Black Keys was in their stride, or White Stripes, or even like Royal Blood, which is just like a bass and drums. Very minimalist. It's just a guitar, bass, drums, pure straight up rock and roll. And one of the greatest unique things about this is that there's both a male and female vocalist that sing every single word. Maybe sometimes they go back and forth a little bit, but it just is this nice, beautiful, androgynous harmony on almost everything. But all the songs do sound different, but it's just a nice streamline, but it rocks. And it tapered off after like 3 albums. They're still making music now, but the first 3 albums is just hit after hit after hit. And I was here for all of it. But yeah, Band of Skulls, excellent album.
Nice.
That was my shower. Definitely give it a listen, gang.
I'm going to.
Yeah, I like by the description, I like it.
I have like a lot of Show-ers. When I think back, but I can't tell if they're real Show-ers or not, or if it's just my memory. But I'll like a lot of Show-ers. Yes.
Wait, I want to cut you off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, because now one just popped into my head because
What
I
do you
think
got?
that you were. I don't know if you were going to say that if it's actually a shower, like based on the music, or if it's based on like the moment that's connected to it. And maybe that's not what you were going to say.
No, but that's okay.
No.
So go ahead. What
No,
do
so
you
then
got?
you go. Everyone only did one. I'll do
No,
another one.
there's no format. Go ahead. What do you got? What do you got?
This song by a band called Happy Anarchy.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, Personal
They're on my
Judas.
list too.
Oh, really?
So when you and I met, I had never seen your band before, and I had a big old crush on you. And the first time I saw you guys play, it was at Martini Red, and you started singing, and I was like, oh man. Like, I was immediately like, oh, I love this man very much. And then when you guys did Personal Judas, it was like magical. Like when the keyboard came in, you guys had like lights and everyone in the room was just so in love with you guys. I was like in another dimension for those few minutes of watching the song, of just being like, oh my God. Like the whole
We
moment
had some
of
good
it.
shows there.
Yeah, the whole moment of it felt incredible, but it was also the first time I ever heard the song. And it was like, this song is really fucking good. This song is great. Like, and it's all of this going on. So that's a big one for me.
Wow, that's
No,
awesome.
You know what?
Same.
The Reset album was actually on my list, but I didn't want to massage your ego yet.
Yeah, actually, it's on my
Sorry.
list.
When we do
It's
Sorry
on
to
my
throw that
list
in.
too.
Well,
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you like it.
The Happy Anarchy, but it is a shower album. Reset is 100%. I remember, I think this was right before my past band and Happy Anarchy played one show together in Asbury Park. On the way over, I had no idea. I think I met you once before, but I was in the car with Walter Prohowich. He was the lead singer of Hollywood Hangover, the band that I was in at the time. And he said, "This is the greatest band on Staten Island right now," which is a low bar, but he should have said New York.
There's your compliment.
Zing.
I had to level it off. And the first song he puts on is "Bump," and just hearing Jesse on the keyboard and how theatrical the vocals were in it, I was like, I gotta hear more of this band. And then I was like, you gotta give me a copy of this album. I remember right after I left Hollywood Hangover, I think Darren just left Happy Anarchy, and Pat Moore, the bassist for Hollywood Hangover, goes, "Yeah, they're looking for a bassist. Don't you dare, don't you dare audition for it." And I was like, "Oh, damn it!" But
I remember the first time I ever heard Happy Anarchy was the day after I met Joe Pecora for the first time at a house party.
We're at Mike's, right?
At Mike's, right. At the former bassist of the Seconds house. And the next day, I was hanging out with John DeSalvo from the Seconds. And he was like, "That guy Joe last night, he's cool, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, me and him were talking about Pink Floyd for a while. And it was, what an awesome guy." He's like, "Yeah, he's going to be playing with me in this band." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." And I'm like, what is he in? He's like, "Oh, I have his CD. Here, take it." And he gave it to me, and I was like, "Oh, awesome." And then I was like, put it on now. And he's like, "Oh, you got to hear this song." And he put on Vampire Bunny, and and I was like, and like when it got to the really heavy part, when you're talking really fast, I was like, "That's the same guy." I was like, he does stuff like this, like. I was like, he's just like such a chill and calm, and he's like, and then, I went home and I put it in my 5-disc changer in my Mercury Grand Marquis, which was in the trunk. So you never went back there to change the CDs, and I listened to that CD for years.
That CD is still back there today.
Yeah, wherever that car is. Yeah,
It's in Colombia right now.
that car got
As a taxi.
washed away in the floods of Sandy, and that CD was still in the trunk.
it's at the bottom of the sea.
It's at the bottom of the sea.
That's epic. That's the episode. Good night, everybody.
No, but that's great. That covers the Happy Anarchy episode. So
Yeah, great. We don't have to do that.
mark it down.
Yeah, Joe loved and hated that. Saw you like scratching your beard the whole time of like, all right, I gotta just.
It's
take these
itchy, his beard.
compliments.
No, a lot of the people who do actually listen to this podcast are Happy
Big
Anarchy
fans,
fans.
yeah, I
And
hear
if
that a
you look
lot.
on the Discord, they talk about it a lot, and huge fans of it. They want to hear that first album, and
I'm trying.
yeah.
trying to get that.
People found Sweat Hog stuff on YouTube, and that was the first time I heard it, thanks to the Discord.
That's cool.
Videos?
No, they're not videos. It's just the what is
I
it?
would like
You
to see
won the
those.
World Zero.
Oh yeah.
Very 90s.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I have the
You know what,
first
though? I'll
Happy
tell you what,
Anarchy CD.
The Sweat Hog stuff, that was a band that I like, but they awesome. I miss
Yeah, a lot of
those
fun.
guys, and like when we played live, I don't think the recorded stuff that we did was good, or our originals really kind of like. We wrote a lot of originals, and they were cool, but I think our live thing, us as a band, was really great.
Yeah.
We had a great horn section, we had a great rhythm section, and there was a lot of energy and a lot of fun, and we knew, like...
Yeah.
But, so Show-ers for me, I got like a whole bunch that just like rattle off, but like I don't know if it's because I'm thinking back to a time in my life or not, but... There are also perfect albums, and there's going to be super 90s and super like stereotypically 90s. But I'm just going to throw a bunch out there. Blue Album, Weezer Blue Album,
Absolute blue. Sure.
right? First time I heard it, front to end, killer.
Yeah. Especially ending with Only in Dreams.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's nothing. There's no bad moment on that album. Smashing Pumpkins, Siamese Dream.
Oh yeah.
For
Absolute
me,
shower.
perfect. Pearl Jam,
10.
10, total shower.
Even Versus is a tremendous album.
Oh, yeah,
Vitalogy
yeah.
was the only grower. Like, I mean, that's when you started getting, but
Yeah,
10 is excellent.
I'm not like Vitalogy. They lose me, and they still
Yeah.
do. Really, my thing is once Eddie Vedder starts taking over the songwriting duties,
Yeah.
I'm kind of not into it as much. It's just not my style.
Right.
But I want to go back to like a grower.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do some growers again.
So,
Show-ers is just like, this is a good album, you know?
and we're approaching the end here. But this is, I've spent 40 something years of my life hating Steely Dan.
Don't say Asia.
Asia, man, is a fucking fantastic album.
I have the vinyl just to have it. I can't stand it.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And
Fight.
Let's go. Do it.
I love Asia the band.
I love
What-
Asia,
I
the
mean-
continent.
Well, I'm a
There's a couple- there's 2 or 3
really,
good
really big
songs.
King Crimson fan. And the singer of Asia was the singer of King Crimson.
Oh, really? With Jeff Downs?
Yeah, the bass player.
That is way two completely different bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
But
Are
it's
they
also, yes,
really?
you know, it's Steve Howe is playing guitar.
Are
in
they
Asia.
really?
Really?
And
I know
the
nothing
keyboard,
about Asia.
keyboard player from the Buggles.
Right.
Wow. I should
Yes.
listen to more Asia.
Yeah, Asia's pretty
Who
damn
plays drums in
good.
that? It's probably some other prog rock legend, right?
Yeah. Wow. You're gonna put me on the spot. Whatever.
But
I'll
yeah,
tell you on another podcast.
But Asia,
I'll be like, oh, by the way, do you remember we were talking about Asia?
No, we'll just
I'll
edit
tell
it
you
in.
who the drummer is. Thanks.
But I can't live with myself a little bit because it just means I'm old. Like I think that's where you get your old card. It's not your age. It's if you actually end up liking Steely Dan.
Oh my goodness.
Now you need like tube socks and cargo shorts.
Oh, I had the tube socks.
And I don't know. Steely Dan was always that band where it's, you guys are good. You guys are excellent musicians. Do you know that you're all in the same band? Like Rush, you know?
But the funny thing is that they didn't know they were all in the same band because depending on the song or the session, they would have like a line of guitar players.
Chevy Chase was in the band for some time.
In the very beginning, he played drums.
like when he was in college. Crazy stuff. But yeah, Steely Dan.
Bizarre.
I'm still working on that album. Can't
Great,
get
man.
to it.
It's great. So this is some growers and showers. If you guys have any that you want to share with us,
You want to just throw off some honorable mentions real quick? Just fire them off if
yeah,
you guys
sure.
want to listen to them?
Yeah, a lightning round. What do we
Lightning
got?
round.
Okay, let's go around real quick. I'm gonna say shower for me is definitely Era Vulgaris, Queens of the Stone Age. Big time, just hit album for me.
Grower for me. Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats from 2015, their self-titled album.
a great album, yeah.
Great album. It's around the time of revival rock when it was hitting its stride. When Dave and I were talking about this in the car, Monsters and Men were coming out, and what other bands were Kaleo, like all those. groups.
Lumineers, you know,
But-
and Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros,
Yes.
their total sound and
Yes, but this was like this was just like a raw And it, like, especially S.O.B. was the single off of that, and it was just this really energetic song. So I heard that, I was like, I want to get more of it. I didn't even listen to the rest of the album. I just bought it on vinyl and was like, okay, we're going to listen to this whole thing. And it's right next to Van Morrison's Moondance in my record collection, because I feel like those two are really companion albums that are 40 years apart.
Oh, cool.
Really, really cool album. And then my last grower is Decemberist Hazards of Love. I was like, okay, I like the Decemberist, but I'll give this one a listen. Wasn't a big fan of it. I felt like it was like the same stuff over and over again. Sure, it was like a motif that just kept on repeating, but it was just boring. Then I heard it live, and I heard the whole thing as a whole, and it was phenomenal. And the whole, it's a whole long folklore story, but I highly suggest to listen to it. December's Hazards of Love, excellent grower album. Give it a chance. I've tried to make it 40 times, but still hasn't. But yeah, those are my last two.
Nice. What do you got, Jen?
Group Love.
Oh, yeah.
Never Trust a Happy Song by Group Love.
It's a great show.
Oh, man.
It's a great album.
Yeah.
It's just a great album. And the album Champ by Tokyo Police Club.
Okay.
Great album.
It's so good, and it's one that, like, unless you really like jump in and like just listen all the way through, it's kind of, I think people could probably take it or leave it. But those,
That's a grower or a show?
Did it grow on you? Or did you love it
No,
right
I loved it
off?
right away.
Okay. So it's a shower.
It's a shower. These
They're-
are both showers for me.
They're a really fun live band too. I got to see them open up for Passion Pit, and it
Oh,
was,
that's fun.
Yeah, at the what was it, the Union Park band show?
Oh, yeah.
Prospect
Yeah,
Park
the
band show.
album is super, super fun. I just love it all the way through. So, and when I first heard it, I was like, oh, yeah, I love this. This is great.
I'm going to go modern for mine. My grower was the Billie Eilish album.
Oh, wow.
Where We All Go When We Fall Asleep.
Yeah.
Excellent album.
Yeah, it's really great. I at first resisted it, and I'm like won over like 100%. It's pretty brilliant.
Our daughters are scared of it. It's like,
yeah,
it's
it's a
too
little
dark
creepy.
for
It's a little
them, where
creepy.
they're like, all the whispering is just like, they were really like, no, please turn this off, please.
Henry, my coming up to 4-year-old, is always like climbing on top of the records, pulling it out. He's like, I want to see her eyes, because she's got like white glow in the dark eyes. Right? I was like, yo, you're creepy. I love it. Keep it up, buddy.
And my shower, and again modern, is Wet Leg. New Wet Leg album is
I gotta
fucking
listen
great.
to it.
It's really, it's just like a right up my butthole, as me and Jen would say. It's just it's perfect. Another
Dave's-
grower.
Dave's got more.
I got
Z, My Morning Jacket.
Dave barely
yeah.
touched his list.
And now I'm in a big
yeah.
My Morning Jacket phase at the moment. So like,
Was it Circuitual?
Z is the one that. But
Yes,
you,
Z's a good one.
yeah.
Circuitual is what grabbed me into My Morning Jacket, and I think it's a phenomenal album.
I want to make a My Morning Jacket. Let's do it. Whoever's out there wants
I'm
to play,
in.
let's do it.
Let's do it.
I'll use Dave's overdrive pedal on my road sound, because
Oh,
that's all it
baby.
is. We're gonna get into that in the next episode. But anyway, Dave, what do you got?
Oh, shower album, Blonde Redhead, Misery is a Butterfly.
Oh, nice.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What a mood. That whole album just trading back and forth between who's going to be the lead vocalist, between the guy and the girl. Like, wow. That album, the first time I ever heard that, I couldn't turn it off. I was awestruck. And then I got another grower, and it's another one, Mac DeMarco.
Cool.
Because I didn't get it. I did not get Mac DeMarco at first. I was like, who is this guy? I don't understand the music. It sounds so thin and unproduced. And why is everybody listening to it? And it wasn't till after Salad Days that I heard another one, and it grew on me so quickly. Definitely didn't like it the first time I heard it, but it grew on me so quickly that it made me an instant fan of his, and I went backwards and understood everything that he had done up until that point because of another.
Oh, that's cool. That's a different. That's a good other podcast at some point. The thing that gets you in and makes you
Go backwards.
Go backwards.
Yeah.
But go for it.
No, I just, because what you said about one of your last bands. Just one more for me. Show-er, that I didn't even listen to the album. I just saw the album played live, completely blind from going, like, I think I mentioned this in the first episode. Janine and I are just trying to get out there and just see shows that we haven't even gotten into the bands. 151A by Kishi Bashi. It's a 10-year-old album. This was the violinist from of Montreal. The album is incredible. The only thing I need to say about it is a lot of bands that I see, I watch them, I watch what they do, and I say, oh, with a lot of practice and dedication, I could probably do that. This guy is talented. Like, there's no way I could come anywhere close to it. It's just really fun, really just happy sounding music. He's a violinist that has an MK2 pedal, the Line 6, the green one.
The delay loop.
Yeah. But like everybody on stage has one, and it is a great album. But that's, I know we're going long.
It sounds fun.
It's a really.
That's awesome.
You want to start us off? Oh yeah, sure. If you want to share any of your albums that you like, any growers, any showers, any ones that we haven't named on here that maybe you want to have us give a listen to, we would love to hear it. You could email us at rockpopspod@gmail.com. And until next time, we hope to have you hear from us.
And like and subscribe and hit the notification bell.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks,
just ring a bell.
Thanks for having me.